Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of They Don't Teach This in Law School. I'm your host, Charlie Mann of law firm Alchemy, and my guest today is certainly going to be a fun one. He's someone who I actually met some time ago when he was a vendor at one of the old Great Legal Marketing Summits, and he just immediately had this level of energy, vibrancy, stuff I'm going to actually ask him about during this show. I was like, I don't know if he likes me or not, but I'm definitely telling myself that he likes me because he just gives off all this good energy. And he runs this company Ring Boost, but he's a multi-time entrepreneur. We're going to talk about some of the adventures he's taking now in the movie industry. Some of you, and this will give away, like for a lot of people, he made an appearance on The Office. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you tell that story here. I know you've told it a million times. But my guest today is Paul Faust. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time. We did meet. Yes, I did genuinely like you. There are very few people I've met in this industry that I don't actually like. I think we are beyond blessed, and I say it all the time, that I get to make a living with people that I enjoy. It is not, people say you're going on a trip, is it work or pleasure? I'm like, why do you define the two? In fact, we haven't had a conference in a couple months. I just had a bunch of lawyers and vendors come down and we just hung out in Florida. Like, these are my friends. So yes, I genuinely am blessed that I like the people that we're around every day.
You know, that's so the right mindset, Paul. Like, that's one of the things I actually had to switch over for myself some time ago because I was actually a theater major in college, and I came to the industry through working for Ben and not really knowing the lawyer sphere. And then just one day I was like, I like these people. Like, I genuinely like these people. And you get to make that choice in life, whether or not you like people and the people that you hang out with. Like,
I didn't understand the concept of spending a significant, look, you take out sleep. That's a significant portion of our life,
yes.
Right? And then let's say it's a third or more, then I'm going to spend from my 21 when I get out of college to 60, spending another third of my life like with doing stuff I don't like with people I don't like, so I could then have a little bit of time to spend with people I like. I'm like, that's not a book I read. Like, my issue is I can't wait to get to conferences with people, and then I get upset when I have to leave. It's almost like my wife gets mad at me because I come in and I just like plug in and I just sit there like wait for the next time I get to be around my friends. And it's great that we're friends. We help each other. We make money together. We find new opportunities together. I'm blessed every day. And there's no reason for the younger people in the audience that when you're thinking about your life, what do I want to wake up and do and who do I want to do it with? And I'm blessed that I get to do this every day. It's crazy.
Oh, we're going to dig so deep into all of that. I have this list of questions. I'm like, I know why I have Paul on this show, and he's already getting at it. So, Paul, I have to ask you the question. What's the one thing they don't teach you in law school?
I think to answer that, because this could be a 12-hour miniseries.
Absolutely.
Is that, and to be honest, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to law school, although I maybe play a lawyer on TV. Is it coming out? There's two parts to being a lawyer. One is understanding the law, and I think that they teach that really well. What are the laws? What are the precedent cases? How do you argue a motion? The second thing, which I don't think they're teaching, is that in order to make value out of that, it's a business. And there's two parts, being a lawyer and a business person. And you have two choices. Either you're going to have to learn that, or you're going to have to bring people on who understand that portion. Because without that, it doesn't matter, how smart a lawyer you are. You have to understand the business if you're going to run a law firm.
Oh yeah, especially if you're gonna have the gumption to go and hang your own shackle, right? You do need to go and get the business education. So, Paul, I know that you're like a multi-time entrepreneur. What got you started down the path of I want to own and operate my own thing?
It was something that, look, I've done this since elementary school, like having the paper route, selling wrapping paper. I'd have my dad go to, when he went in Switzerland, he'd bring back Swatch watches, and then I would sell them. Like, it's always been in my blood. Like, I always loved the game, the hustle, the hunt, the thought. And then, you go to school and you come out and, with most people, you get a job, you gotta get started. You gotta get some foundation. You gotta get some scars and some gray. But I always, just a little bit. But I always knew that I would regret not going my own way and trying to build something, either on my own or with partners And that I always knew that if things didn't work out, I can go get a job and build something for someone else and be a part of somebody else's thing. But I wanted to have my own dream, my own vision, my own rules, which there are not that many. So it's something I want to pursue. And I like, with everything I've done, for me, it's like, well, why are you doing that? I'm like, because I want to, but you can't do it. I'm like, why not? Like, there's more naysayers that'll tell you every reason why no, you can't launch another podcast, Charlie. There's a lot of them in the legal space. Don't do it, blah, because they won't do it. And so it's easier just to tell you a million reasons why you're not going to get guests, no one's going to watch, blah, as opposed to just go do it. And that's how I've done things. I enjoy being creative. I enjoy being able to make some of my own decisions. And I'm also, which is really important, I'm not chasing money. In every conference I go to, Mass Torts, I tell everybody I'm the richest person in this room by far. I'm just not measuring it in dollars. Like, I think people who chase money never catch it, because you catch it and then you're going to want more of it. And more of it. I'm like, why don't you chase happiness, chase, fulfillment, and then I've got what I need. Like, I don't need a private jet. Like, I'm really good on JetBlue or Spirit. Like, I'm fine. So that's just, I'm just, tick differently. I read a different book, I guess, or maybe didn't read enough.
It's funny. Like, I remember watching a documentary on Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett was talking about how he's just in it to run up the score. Like, I don't know that I'm that interested in a lifestyle where I eat the same McDonald's meal every morning. I still drive the same old Honda Civic, and I've got the one routine that I'm going through, right? Like, it's okay for some people, but I can't imagine living on this big, beautiful, vast planet that we have, and that being the totality of my existence.
Yeah, I did a group, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago with a guy named Jesse Itzler called Build Your Life Resume. My license plate on my car is BYLR. I don't care that not that I don't care. You went to Harvard and you made $20 million. Where have you traveled? Who have you helped? What sports have you tried? What books have you read? What are your thoughts on the world? Like, it's a wheel. And one spoke of the wheel is your career and your finances. And another spoke is your friends and your family and your religion and your charity and your health. And I want to build all that. I've met people who are, and Jesse actually talked about this. They said to these people, why did you sacrifice so much to make all this money? And they said, well, I wanted to do all this so I could do more with my friends and family and have what I want. And they said, okay, what's your biggest regret? And they said, all the time I spent doing this, that I wasn't with my friends and family. So
right.
it's like, so I'm going to wait till I'm maybe mid 60s and hopefully have this money, but maybe then my knees don't work. I can't hike a mountain. My back. By the way, here's the other problem. And I learned this, or it really struck me 9/11, is that you think, okay, I'll do this until this, and then I'll have this. They're not B of this. I'm turning 54. I might not make it till 55. There were people who said, I'm going to work my butt off, make millions and millions and millions of dollars, and retire early. Maybe they worked in the towers. You don't know when the bus ride's over. So you have to balance earning, income, lifestyle with friends, experiences, all this cool stuff, because we don't know when the ride's over. When it's over, it's over. And you could do everything perfect. Sometimes bad things happen to good people.
It's the truth, right? It's the little truth that we don't want to necessarily acknowledge, but it exists. It is that whole, okay, so my philosophy, Paul, is I want to go to sleep every night and say, if I don't wake up tomorrow, that's okay. I did it right.
I used to go out, people, they're like, hey, today's my birthday. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, every day's my birthday. Like, every day I wake up, I'm like, hey, man, I got one more. Like, so, yes, I understand. We are like, all right, it all sounds good on paper. Yes, we do have responsibilities and you got to pay the bills. But, do you really need that? Or would it be better if instead of chasing that? And what was really, really cool, actually, is when I was in that grind and hustle, head down, I got to make money. I got to make tons of money. I know this is this. I didn't make as much as when I said, you know what, this is crazy. I took a breath, lifted my head up, chilled out a bit. All of a sudden, I was happier. More people wanted to do things with me because I was happy. I wasn't stressed. Yeah. I saw the opportunities all in front of me that I missed every day because my head was down and I was grind. So I started making more money, having more fun, which more people wanted to work with me. More people wanted to, just breathe, lift your head up, stop, and it just changed, my whole perspective on kind of where I got to go. And like people ask me, well, what would I do if I handed you a check for this amount? I'm like, I just go around and try and preach to everybody else all the things that I figured out later, like of how to live life that you're missing, and they're not teaching, not just in law school. They're not teaching in elementary school, junior high school, college. We're teaching a broken system, I think.
Okay, so there's this book called Excellent Sheep that is exactly about this issue, right? It's about how the school system is designed to produce very capable workers, very capable cogs in the machine, people who understand what it means to show up at this time in the morning and go home at this time in the evening, and you do your work in between. And oh, by the way, don't forget, you have stuff that you have to take home with you that you do in the evening as well to help you out the next day. We produce excellent sheep. And it is a shame that we don't have, more of a, like, hey, here's how you break through into the world. Here's how you go and meet people. Here's how you build wealth through relationships. That's never taught. Like, the best you get in that is like team sports.
Yeah, or let's have multiple schools. Like, it's okay if you want to be an excellent sheep. I don't want responsibility. I want to go to somebody else's business.
Yes.
That has all the rules set up and all I have to do is perform. Great. Let me teach for that.
Yes.
Maybe you're a visual learner. I'm going to teach. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you want to, let's teach different ways. That was built for one system. This industrial complex is not what it is now. So there are people that want to be great sheep, and you need some of those, sheep. You also need the sheepdog. You need the farmer. You need the guy with the barn. You need the guy with the truck to move the sheep. So that, and that's what I believe. But I also think, like you brought it up, because it's funny that you brought it up. You talked about, sports. I coached, all the kids' teams. And I would have this meeting with the parents, and I'd be like, look, here's the deal. And whether it be soccer or lacrosse, I'd be like, look, guys, we're in upstate New York, whatever. The odds of your kid going on to play Major League Soccer or Major League Lacrosse, making a career out of this, is basically slim and none. And if they're that good, I'm not going to be their coach. They're going to be going to elite camps. But there is a 99% chance that they're either going to go to college, military, have a family, do something. So I'm going to teach them to be good teammates, good winners, good losers, good men, honorable sportsmen. If they happen to learn a little soccer, lacrosse, and you want to tip me, that's cool. But I'm going to prepare them for life, not for a career in the professional sports, despite what you think about your child, And that's, I think it was funny you brought that up, because I think we're losing the perspective on what's important.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Perspective being everything. And Paul, I'm grateful for the fact that you brought up, and it is a good corrective thing to bring up, that we do need people who do want to plug in and be great employees, right? That has always irked me a little bit when you hear sometimes people who employ folks seem to have an antagonistic relationship with the idea that people would be in their employ, right? They go, look, entrepreneurs are the only great people. It's like, well, what about the employees who support your entrepreneurial vision? Aren't they great as well for their own reasons?
I couldn't do this if it wasn't for the staff in my office that are taking phone calls and managing books, things that I don't want to do. Amazon, as great as he is, nothing happens unless somehow that item gets in a box and gets to the client. So yeah, it's all important. And by the way, there's nothing disrespectful about it. If you're the line worker at Amazon, you're just as important as the CEO. Maybe you don't have the same income. That's okay. Like people used to say to me when I was in my old business, like, do you own the company? And I'm like, well, technically no, but it's as much mine as it is the owner's. Pays my mortgage, puts food on helps my kids get clothing. So I just don't have the same equity, but yeah, this is my company. I work here, but nothing happens without me either. By the way, nothing happens without that person. And when I was in my old job, and even in this company, Ring Boost, you get all the credit because you're ringing the register.
Right.
The only once I ring the register, there's a whole army of people behind that actually make something happen with it, account for it, bill it, set it up, route it. So there is no, the military doesn't work if there's not grunts, officers, cooks. Like, people are like, well, I was in the military. I was just a cook. No, you weren't just a cook. You were a cook. Like, you can't go fight unless you eat. So I just think we have to change the other thing. And the other most important thing that I think people miss is, like, you and I are having this conversation. You and I have been friends. I mean, it's got to be 10 years or somewhere in that neighborhood. We're having an awesome conversation. This is how people need to meet. I don't know. I know nothing about your political affiliations. I know nothing about your religious affiliations. I know nothing about anything about you except that we met. We like each other in the same industry. We like each other. So if we tend to differ on gun rights or whatever politics, great. We'll figure it out together because we respect each other as people. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is most people are meeting on opposite sides of an issue. So they're starting antagonistic and then trying to find common ground. I like to find all the common ground in the world and like people and then go, oh, really? You're that's how you feel about that issue? You know what? I respect and like him. Tell me why. Maybe I'm not right, or maybe we're both right. Maybe I can learn a little bit. So I think that there's just so much, and maybe this is all the stuff they're not teaching in law school. But like, I will bet you there's issues that you and I, if we met on the opposite sides of a picket fence, picket line, we would be yelling at each other on an issue. But let's meet as humans. Let's understand that we're all just trying to be happy, put food on the table, live a good life, be good people. And now let's figure out our differences and let's do this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, you can move a little. I can move a little.
Yeah.
So
it's the old idea of like, hey, most people agree on the overall outcome that we're seeking, but for some reason we're so obsessed with the way that it's done, and we want to fight about that. It's such a small fight to be having as human beings.
Right. We all want to get to the top of the mountain. I think we go this way. You think we go this way. It doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean you're wrong. First of all, it could be that I'm right for my health and fitness. It could be that I'm right because I've never seen your path and I've only seen mine. And then all of a sudden you go, by the way, if you go this way, there's an elevator. I'm like, oh, geez, I just should have looked around the corner instead of saying, you're wrong, you're stupid, you're wrong. And now what's unfortunately happening because of social media and AI, which I believe that there's unbelievable applications for, can make the world so much better, is that we are forcing people into pods. So it's confirmation bias. All the stuff that's getting fed to me is the stuff that I've read, that I look at. So it goes, okay, this is what he likes. So it pushes me more that path up the mountain. It pushes Charlie a different narrative. So I'm just getting more and more right on my own thoughts. You're getting more and more right on your own. So we're driving each other into different buckets. And that's what I think is getting really dangerous, is that I can argue 1,000 points on climate change.
Yep.
Because every point that I've been given is confirming my biases anyway. Yep. So it's scary to me. And by the way, as a lawyer, because I know we talking to a lot of lawyers, you have to understand this going into running a business in a law practice, that I come to things with my shoes, my eyes, my ears, my experiences in life. That's going to be other lawyers you meet. It's going to be clients, it's going to be vendors, it's going to be judges. And we have to the pendulum swung a really bad way, and we need to swing back, I think, the other way of people first, issue second.
There was this personal development course I purchased and went through, and it was created by this guy who has like an actual PhD in psychotherapy and all this other stuff. But the matrix that he uses is so simple, and it speaks to this, in that a lot of people in the sort of four major categories of our lives: financial category, emotional, yada yada. We have a child state, a teenager state, and an adult state. And most people spend a lot of time in their child or teenager state, right? Because that's when, during your developmental phase, that stuff gets locked in. And really becoming an adult is a process that you have to actively engage with. It doesn't just happen automatically, right? And one of the things with a teenage state is absolutism. So many people carry their absolutism of their teenage years into their adult years. And so they only seek absolutism. There's only one way to do things. There's only one right answer. It has to be done by steps 1 through 7. And don't you dare miss a single one. And Paul, you're here like speaking adult state stuff of, you kind of have to know yourself. You have to believe in your own path, and you have to respect someone else's path. And you can go and model what others do, but you're not that person. You're yourself. You have to figure it out. I mean, you seem like a person who's pretty engaged with yourself, understanding who you are. Was that a natural thing for you, or was this something you developed over time?
I developed over time consciously, but just make a note to yourself. I need that clip where you said I'm actually thinking like an adult, because no one's going to believe that. I'm sending it to my mom and dad. I will probably post it on my social media pages that Paul actually thought like an adult. I'm really excited. I just had a major breakthrough. This could be the first. Look, look, you go through things and you learn your way, and then if you have some success, um, as a person, as a business person, you start to buy your own BS. So you
Hmm.
think you're right about everything, and and all of a sudden, I don't know when, but I was in my, maybe young 40, maybe even before late 30s. I started to have a lot of anxiety issues. Um,
Mm.
that was crippling. But here I am. People look at me. He's like, he's got a house. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got kids. He seems to drives a nice car. You go to conferences. He's funny. People like, oh, everything must be perfect. But I had my own anxiety thoughts, so I accepted it for a while. And then at
Mm.
some point, I said, well, this is stupid. I've been having this for 10 years. The stuff that I have anxiety about has never happened, but I have this. So I said, I'm going to go on a personal mission to seek like why, and started to read about some self help, but some understanding. Got involved with Jesse's course and started to like, wow, the world is this way, and I rewired my whole brain. And there's certain things that people can do that I learned that were very simple. Rewired my whole brain to think different, act different, be different, and it opened up business, relationships, friendships, and I realized that um, yes, I'm 100% right on everything based on my feet and my eyes and my experiences. That doesn't mean I'm 100% right. And let me
Mm.
listen to you. Oh, wow. Okay. I understand. All right. Maybe my way's not the only way. Maybe my way was completely wrong. But I think it's a conscious choice to drop your ego, stop caring about protecting some fictitious position because it doesn't matter when we're all gone. Like,
It
and just
doesn't.
be more open about it and be like, and there's also times where I've had this conversation and be like, you know what? I respect you. I disagree, but guess what? Let's go for lunch. Like, I'm not unfriending you. I'm not hating. I'm not going to badmouth you. Let's agree to disagree, and maybe we'll pick this up later when one of us gets some more information, or one of us, or we'll just agree to disagree on an issue. That's okay. We don't have to
Yeah.
agree on every single thing. I know that I'm right. Okay. Maybe I just haven't understood it the way you have, and guess what? Maybe we're both 100% right. Like,
Isn't that such a strange thing that we have to hold in our hands, the idea that two seemingly separate ideas could be totally correct? Like honestly, I'll even compare it within the industry that we're in, right? There's the whole law firm marketing kind of category, right? There are people who come at it from very much a build your brand angle, and the thing that I came at it from was the direct response marketing. And people look at these things and go, well, one of these has to be right. It's like, well, maybe both are right and there's a good time for each. Oh
oh, what?
no.
Wait a minute. I've lived that my entire business, being in a phone number company at Ring Boost, is
Yep.
that when I go out to tell people, I say, look, my phone number is one important arrow in your quiver. Okay. It's If all you do is get a phone number, it's not going to do anything. You got to put it out there. You got to marketing it. But I found that a lot of the guys in the digital world said dude, the whole world's online. It's all online. It's all online. It's all online. And this is absolute. And I'm like, no, the answer is it's everything. And by the way, I could talk to one person and say, it's really important for you here. Totally
Mm.
unimportant for you here. If you come to me and say, look, I've heard that TV is the greatest thing in the world. And I go, okay, what's your market? What's your budget? Well,
Mm.
if you're going to go into an NFL market, or a Boston market or something, and you're going to say, well, I'm going to spend $10,000 a month on TV. Like, no, TV's not great. You're going to get drowned
Yeah.
out. So maybe in that response, direct response is important for you. Maybe community outreach. So there is no such thing as one right answer. It depends. Or people say to me, I was actually at the back of the room at a Mass Tort conference for the Business of Law Day, and there was a group of
Mm.
people on stage having a conversation about phone numbers. I was in the back of the room going, that's weird that they didn't want me to talk about this. And I was next to Stephen Fairley, if you remember him, who's passed,
Yep.
since passed,
Yeah.
Rainmaker
Rainmaker.
Institute. And see, and I said, Stephen, you know that I'm the only one who can give you the absolute answer to the question they're asking about what's the best number to use. A toll-free number, a vanity number, a local number, a tracking number. I'm like, I have the only right answer. And he goes, you do? I'm like, yeah. I go, what's the answer? I go, it depends.
Yes.
There's a right and wrong time for all of them. I I believe in a memorable number. I believe in a vanity number. There is absolutely a time and a place to use a tracking number. Like if
Mm.
you're doing direct response, you're doing ads, you're certain mailers, you want to track landing pages. So the only answer is it depends. and no one else, everyone else say, no, this is right and this is right. I'm like, they're all right.
But we live in a world that it's easier to sell people on absolutism. It like literally in sales, you can prove statistically, if you offer an absolute solution that eliminates all of the other options, that sells more. And yet here we are, people who are trying to be like, look, I have a product and everything. It may not be right for you. And I'm trying to be honest about that. How do we deal with all right, I need absolutism in a way because it helps with sales and it does produce results for the right people. And yet I also want to be out here speaking this particular message of it depends. How do we balance that?
You know what? If I could solve that one, I don't know. Like I was always joking that I would love to see, whether it be great legal marketing, Ben stuff or anyone, someone organizing a conference saying, look, we're having these unbelievable speakers. We got these unbelievable vendors. We're going to give you more knowledge and everything, but it may completely suck. But guess what? There's going to be 200 of your peers in the room, and you're going to get a lot of value from them. Like I've heard people say to me, I'm not going to go to that one. They're like, why? I'm like, I don't love the speaker lineup. I'm like, okay, what about the guy sitting next to you that has a law firm that maybe is running into the exact same problem that you're trying to solve? Maybe the person you have lunch with, and there's 3 or 4 other lawyers at lunch, and then you met them and broke bread with them, and then they get a case in your market. So, I want to see someone put up a conference saying, look, we're going to put on a great conference. Might not be perfect for you, but guess what? We're bringing 100, 200, 300, 400, 1,000 of your peers in. There's value in this space. Don't just judge it based on 1 or 2 speakers, or you've seen that person. I've seen 90% of the speakers speak before, but every time I sit next to someone different.
So having been in the conference space when I was with GLM, right, there's this whole, that is one of the things that you always want to try and focus on is, hey, opportunities for networking. And yet selling just networking has always been, it's the tertiary thing. And even it can be proven statistically, at least when I was doing marketing stuff, like people's response rates to purchasing, to clicking through, all that type of stuff, they don't click through on the networking alone. But if you don't include the networking, you will have reduced response. You are someone, Paul, who like you kind of get it when it comes to networking, I think, right? That's been what I have personally seen. So for the 90% of people who, for them, networking remains that tertiary item on the list.
Okay.
What do they need to hear? What do they like? What's the secret here for you?
There's so many secrets. I'll throw out a couple. Number one, you're not networking for something. You're networking for networking purposes. I'm not networking with you because I need to network with Charlie because I want to get on his podcast. I'm going to network with Charlie because I'm going to network with Charlie. That's number one. Network for the sake of building your network, number one, because I have no idea what you're about yet. And there could be 800 things behind the fact that you were at GLM and that you're a marketer and you have a podcast. You and I can network and become friends and have this great relationship. 4 years later, you could become the number one consultant for law firms and send me all your business. So one is network for networking purposes. Don't have necessarily... Like, I'm not saying just run around and say hello to everybody, even though I do. I mean, you understand what you're doing, but just meet people, number one. Number two is when I network with someone like you, I'm not networking with you. I'm networking with you and your entire network. So maybe I meet you and you tell me you're a thoracic surgeon. Okay, I sell phone numbers, I law firms, I do marketing. What am I going to do with a thoracic surgeon? Well, we like each other. We get to know each other. We enjoy each other from our network. And you say, oh my God, Paul, my best friend runs the largest marketing company for a law firm. So when you network, understand that you're networking with that person and their whole network. So those are 2 lessons that I think people look at someone and go, she's a paralegal at a law firm. What do I need to know her for? I don't know. Maybe she knows 10,000 other paralegals. Maybe her dad owns Amazon. Like, just if she's a person, or he or she, just go meet people and have conversations because you don't know where their head's spinning. And the next time they call you for something, so that's how I think about networking, is that every single person I meet is another network, by the way, not only for me. Maybe I meet you and there's just no value between Paul and Charlie. But someone else calls me and says, I need to be on a podcast. I need a direct response specialist. I need to get on stage at GLM. And I go, interesting, because I just met this guy and we became friends. Charlie, he works over there. I mean, I know you did, whatever. Let me call him and introduce you. Maybe he can help you get on stage. Yep. So all those things are people tend to think, who's that person? Is there any value immediately for me? No, okay, I don't need to know him. And you are missing the entire, I actually believe that your net worth is your net worth.
So that took me a while, Paul. Like that took me a while to really recognize the whole idea of your network is your net worth. And I think about 5 or 6 years ago, it kind of clicked. It was a really active thing because I had gone as far as I really could in terms of creating value in the world for what I could do and what I know, right? Like I can do a bunch of stuff and I know a bunch of stuff, but there are limitations to the value you can create on that. The next stage was I need to know people. I need to know people because without relationships, what am I doing? A bunch of stuff into a void? That doesn't matter. That's so solipsistic. That's so self-involved to just do stuff in a void. Instead, I have to find people to work with, to create value with. Now, I think there's this guy we had on stage last year, Jimmy DiResta. And Jimmy, he's in the maker space. He has a YouTube channel, 2 million people on there. I became buddies with Jimmy. And there's a video of him where people keep referring to him as a good hang. And in the lead up to us recording this, Paul, I was like, that's a descriptor to me of Paul Faust. He's a good hang. Were you always that way, or how did you become a good hang?
I think I was always that way, but then as I became self-aware, a little bit more mature, because no one's going to say I'm mature, I started to understand.
But you're an adult.
I did an adult thing. That I realized that there's value in the hang. Like I'm just naturally, I love people, I love experience, I love this. But then I can say, okay, how can I be better at this? Because you got to lean into what you're great at. And I know that I'm not great at the finances. Like, don't give me the numbers. Say, is the law firm profitable? Okay, who cares? So I said to myself at first, well, I got to read some books on finances and accounting. And someone said to me, no, you don't. You got to get people who are good at that. And you got to lean into what you're really good at. So I know that I'm great. Like everyone at every conference comes over to me and says, what's going on tonight? Where's the event? Where's the party? Where's the dinner? Who's this? Because I want to be in the know and I want to be that resource for people because I want people. I want people to have a good time. I want people to succeed. I get more enjoyment out of connecting two people together to go make billions of dollars than if I did and close my own deal. So I love that, that. But I also just have a good hang for a good hang time. For good people like to hang, things will, like I told you, I just had people come down here because, I'm having conference withdrawal. So I had a few lawyers and other guys came down. We went fishing. We had a dinner. 4 or 5 new business opportunities have popped up that we're having conversations around. And, well, I want to do that. Well, I know someone else who want to do that. I put them together. So it was just a hang. And then people are loose. It was like in the early days of social media marketing and networking, everybody said, you network on LinkedIn. That's the business networking spot. And I said, nope. And I did all my networking on Facebook. And like, well, that's not what it's for. I'm like, no, it's not what it's for you. But on LinkedIn, everyone's guards up. They're like, everyone's trying to sell me something. They're all trying to blah, blah, blah. And on Facebook, everybody said, here's what I ate today. I want to be friends with everybody. So I said, I'm going to go there. And I'm a network because everyone's basically said, I want you to be my friend and I want to tell you everything about my life. So I built my network there, whereas on LinkedIn, it was like, all right, what are you trying to sell me? No, So, and it was all about just a good hang on social media. You study karate or you this or that? Oh, I do too. And then once you've let me into your life, because we're sharing our peanut butter sandwich that we made, now I can ask you, hey, by the way, man, do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Oh, what are you doing? And so I did it that way because this was the virtual good hang versus the LinkedIn hang, which was, what product could I sell you? What are you buying? It was not a good hang. It was a transaction.
We are two professionals. We do professional things.
It was a professional hang versus Facebook and others was a good hang.
good hang. I mean, look, there's a lot of money to be made in being a good hang. You were a natural. Some people have to engineer it. So to the folks who are introverts and they're looking at it going, whatever, Paul, he's a natural. He just loves being around people. What are some words of wisdom for those folks?
Believe it or not, there are parts of me that are introverted, but I realize that I am stop caring. You are judging yourself so much more than everybody else is. I think someone said it. I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk said, you have these young girls in high school who spend 45 minutes panicking about going to school because they have a pimple. And they're so worried about it, what everyone's going to think of it. And he said, nobody cares about your pimple. They're worried about their own pimple.
Yeah.
So you're in your own head saying, well, I'm not comfortable hanging with people. They're going to know. You're saying all that stuff. Just go hang out. You don't have to be the most talkative. It's like anything else. You don't have to do it at the biggest party. Go out with one or two people. Just talk. You'll get more comfortable as you do it. Me, you could throw me in a room of 1,000 people I don't know and throw me a mic and say, go on stage and say hello. I'll go do it. Because I don't care what you like. I always say, I don't care what you think. It's not, I don't mean that I don't care what you think. I'm like, right. This is me. I'm okay if I'm silly, if I screw things up, if people want to laugh at me, you know why? Because in 100 years, I'm going to be dust and it's not going to matter. No one's going to remember that. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember at the first GLM I went to when I tripped and fell. No, you don't remember. You know why?
No, I don't.
Yeah, because no one does. But everyone else would be like, I'm never going back there. I'm so embarrassed. Nobody cares. Stop caring. I'm going to be dust in 50 years. No one's going to look back and be like, well, Paul. So just the best way to get more comfortable with it is just to start doing it. Do it with one person. If you're really nervous about it, find me and say, Paul, let's go have a chat. Well, that was easy and that was fun. Okay, now let's do it with two people.
It's a superpower. This is what I tell every one of the folks who I associate with who really describes as a hard introvert. I go, congratulations, you're about to unlock a superpower, which is that there are 50% of people at every event that you go to who are exactly like you, and they're waiting for someone to walk up and say, hey, how's your day going? And they are secretly just waiting for the invitation to have the conversation because they don't realize they have the superpower too. But congratulations, you have that knowledge now. You have that superpower. Just say hello. If everyone in the world is waiting to have the conversation, be the person who starts it. And don't worry if you fumble. Yeah. It's okay if you walk over to someone and go, hi, I'd like to meet you, and they go, F off, loser. Okay, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Yes.
Okay, nice. So great. That person just saved you a lot of time. Be like, I don't want to network with that one. Go to the next one. But you're going to meet someone else and be like, oh my God, wait a minute. Your name's Man? My best friend's name is Man. You don't know what's going to happen. Stop being so concerned what others think. This planet would absolutely not move in its exact rotation the way it did if it wasn't for you. Take out any one person and we are a different planet. So just be you. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be just do it your way. I do it my way. And some people don't like my way, and that's okay. That's their problem, not mine, unless I'm upsetting them. If they said, Paul, I don't like the way you make those jokes, or okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you or offend you. But if it's you don't like the fact that I walk around, talk to everybody and laugh a lot, then I'm sorry. There's other people here to hang out with.
Last night, Paul, I talked briefly before the show. I was at a recording of the podcast, how did this get made? And we were straight up front row. This is actually something that, I've tried to commit to in life a lot more, which is go have the best experience possible. So we put ourselves up in literally dead center, front of the show, making eye contact with the performers. And there's a couple of gals right behind us who are laughing super, super loud. I know that there's an old version of me who would have crossed my arms and been like, you know what? I'm not going to have fun at this show because they're having too much fun. So now I'm going to be and there was a guy two down from me who was basically doing that exact thing. And I looked over and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I used to be that way. It's just life is easier when you just want to have fun and you don't judge people for their fun.
I don't judge people for their fun. I don't judge people for the things they want to do that I think are completely stupid. But I used to be like that. Now I'm like, man, I hope they're having fun. When you start practicing and being grateful for what you have and how you live, you used to cut me off, I would speed up and try and give you the finger. Like, and now if you cut me off, the first thing I say to myself is, I hope everything's okay. How do I
Yeah.
know that you're not racing home because you just got an emergency call?
Yeah.
I started to read. Now, that doesn't mean that occasionally I get cut off and I don't catch myself going,
Of course.
and then I go, stop. You know nothing about that person. You know nothing about why maybe they cut me off because they are just a pure a-hole. But guess
Yeah.
what? Who cares? Like, so I'm going to get where I'm going 7 seconds later. And now when someone tries to cut me off, I slow down. I'm like, go ahead. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, but I get so mad about so many things. And I'm like, who cares? Like, stop. Like, they're just trying to live their life. And maybe they're making a mistake. Maybe they're not. Like, it's so much easier to just be nice and chill and fun and network and hang out than it is to be uptight.
Yeah.
I'm on. It makes me sad. Like, I want to reach out and be like, come on, dude, come spend an hour with me. Let me just try and give you a little different perspective. And people do it for me all the time. Like, let me tell. I'm nowhere near the top of the mountain. I'm still on my journey. I'm going to get better all the time. And again, don't wait for the journey for later. You don't know when the later is. We're all on the bus and we don't know when it's going to stop. So, don't figure it out. It's going to be tomorrow. I'm going to do the things I want to do. I'm going to be who I want to be. Just start now with micro changes.
Yeah, and I mean that is definitely the theme of this episode is be who you're going to be, enjoy today, understand that this all ends, and the best day to start figuring out who you are is today. If you haven't taken that journey, start figuring that out. Like, honestly, something as simple as wear the clothes that you thought that you would never wear and find out if you actually like yourself in them. Read the book you thought that you would hate. Watch the show that someone told you you're supposed to despise and see if it clicks with you. The world is rich with interesting experiences and media and people. Like, go and find your thing, not what someone told you your thing is supposed to be.
My daughter's a freshman, but just finished her freshman year. My son just graduated college. And they said, well, what you do? I want to be a business major. I go, here's what you do. I want you to go to as many clubs you can go to. Go to one meeting. Photography, Arabic. Because you don't know what you don't know. Like, so go try a bunch of stuff. Like, I believe it's different. I'm 50, turning 54. I think when I came out of school, I was expected to, get a job, start the thing. I think it's different.
Yeah.
Like, I told my kids, they're going to college. I'm like, just go experience.
Yes.
Your 20s, I want you to try different stuff. Maybe if you're lucky, truly lucky, you will find your immediate passion. Maybe you found it in high school and you knew you wanted to be great. But stop stressing about, I got to figure out my whole life. Like, go experience and learn. Maybe and they're like, my son wanted to be in business. My daughter wanted to be this. And I go, yeah, maybe you're going to meet a professor or another student that inspires you to a whole nother thing that you don't even know about. So just go open. Be like, hey, I went to that thing. How was it? It sucked. I hated it. Great. You learned something. Like, don't go again. Or maybe go again with a different instructor somewhere, a different club. Go experience, dude. You're not going to know things that, like, I think it was a friend in our industry, Harlan, said, you don't know what you don't know. I think he even trademarked it. Like, I don't, by the way, I joke about how I can't, like, the opera or ballet. I'm not doing that. I don't know. Maybe if I went and did a ballet lesson, I'd be like, that was really cool. I got more. I don't know. I have preconceived judgments in my head about what I think I like. And I can't at this point just every single day do something, but I love new experiences. And even if they're not perfect, I got something out of it. Just a new experience.
Yep.
And then when I have a conversation, by the way, in a new networking environment, and you say to me, I'm a student of ballet, I'd be like, oh my God, I tried it. That really was this. I didn't like it. But now we have a new connection point.
Yep. There's a copywriter, Joseph Sugarman, who wrote the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. And one of the earliest things he says is to be a great copywriter, you better have a lot of hobbies because you got to understand where people come from, what things people actually like. The most interesting people are the ones who are just trying new things all the time. There's such joy in that. My goodness.
Yes. Look, this is an amazing world. There's so many things and places, and I want to, kind of suck as many as I can. I'm never going to get to all of them. And the other reason you're never going to get to all of them, if you do this every day, is because, and I told my daughter when she went to college, guess what? When you come out of college in 4 years, there's going to be products and businesses that don't exist in the world today. So you can't tell me that you know what you want to do. You could have an idea, but
Yeah.
maybe there's something new that pops up. So I don't like, let me tell you something. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there wasn't one person that said to me, I got to play pickleball. Now, everyone has to play like, no, I'm a tennis player. It's all I play. Now, everyone only plays pickleball. And, so if you're that kind of person, say, no, I'm a tennis player. I'm never playing that stupid little game on that stupid little court with a ping pong paddle. And they try it once and they go, oh my God, that was the coolest thing ever. So just be willing to experience and be okay with, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome too. Okay. Went to the opera, didn't understand a word. Bunch of people yelling at me in a language I didn't know, but I tried it. Or I'll have a visceral moment and go like, oh my God, that was the most powerful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Don't
so
know
that
until
to
you
me,
try.
now again, that comes to kind of bring it back.
Yeah.
You can know everything you want to know about the law. But you got to know the world we're in. You got to know the people we're in. You got to understand the motivation of the jury. And you could be right, but maybe if the jury doesn't like you, everything you say that's right, they're already discounting because, and you have guys like Mark Lanier teach about this. Like when you can relate on different ways with people, that's much better than just being the smartest guy in the room.
Absolutely. Perfect last note here. So Paul, I have 3 very quick questions that I'm going to ask you after you say, what's a way, if people are interested in learning more about you, connecting with you, etc., what's the best way for them to reach out?
The best way for them to reach out to me is the way they want to reach out to me. If they don't want to, have a call, like you can call me at 914-200-0013 because 13 is my lucky number. If you're like, I don't want
Me too.
13?
Yeah.
Well, I won't play a sport unless I'm 13. If there's already 13, I'm like 0.13. You could go to my website, ringboost.com, find me on social media, on, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So I want people to connect with me the way they're most comfortable to start. Not, you must call me, you must email me, go to my website, blah, blah, blah. And here's what I've said to every lawyer I've ever met. I said, here, you're a lawyer, because I know the audience is a lot of lawyers. Write a contract that says you will never, ever buy anything from me ever, and I'll sign it. Then network with me. Call me. I'll help you. Call me on Sunday at 2 a.m. and say, I need help with this. I'd love to help people. I don't believe in what goes around comes around. I believe in what goes around has to go somewhere. So just call me. Network. You can reach out to me. I promise you, I'm not going to try and make you a client. Just say, hey, I saw the interview, or want to learn more about you, or this, that, and the other. Let's just talk. And we will find ways to help and grow. It might have nothing to do with your law practice and my marketing company. It might have to do with where I live, where I just got back from Iceland. I'll tell you about it. So reach out to me the way you're most comfortable. Ringboost.com, Paul at ringboost.com, or my phone number, or Smoke Signal, TikTok. I think I might even have a beeper if that's more comfortable for you.
Perfect. All right. The 3 last little questions. First question, what are you reading these days?
Just finished one of my favorite business books ever because I reread it. It's called Who Not How.
Oh, amazing.
Just like changes your whole mindset on infinite scale. So Who Not How, I just reread it. So that's what I'm reading. I always read 2 books at once. Something where I can learn and grow, and then something just mindless, dumb pleasure.
Always worthwhile.
Anything by Brad Thor you could put a Navy SEAL or a Delta operator or a spy in a movie, change the bad guys' names, and I'll read it. It's the same exact story, and just pick a different country, and they're trying to do something else bad, and I like that stuff. So
I love it. Okay, so what are you watching these days?
Ooh, watching. I just, for some reason, look, I love the whole Yellowstone stuff. I'm just finishing I'm going to start the last season of Billions, and I found this weird show that I didn't think I would like Joe Pickett, and it's just an interesting show on I think it was Netflix. I found I like watching. They tend to be the same thing. It turns out like Yellowstone, Sons of Anarchy. Like Sons of Anarchy was a bunch of crazy guys on motorcycles. They just made the same thing in the mountains and called Yellowstone. Now they're
That's
like,
true.
I like that stuff. Oh, and Lioness, the new one by the same guy, Lioness, Taylor Sheridan. I think everything
Awesome.
he's making is great now.
Oh, yeah. And then the last question is, what are you listening to these days?
Wow. Listening to, not a lot. Like I have the same music that I tend to listen to. I'm working on so many things, between my Ring Boost and then the movie stuff we're doing. Maybe we'll talk about another episode.
Yes. Yes, we will.
love to talk about that because it's been like I don't spend a lot of time listening to podcasts right now just because like when I'm done with this, I'm gonna go talk to my buddy on the film, see where we are because we're about to shoot one in like a month and a half. So I don't have the time to just sit and listen to stuff, but I go through periods where I do, listen to Gary Vee, I listen to Hal Elrod, I listen to, I happen to listen to a lot of podcasts in our industry. Why? Because I'm in the damn industry. And
It helps.
if you don't know what people are saying and what they care about and what are the issues, then you're missing the boat. So if you're a lawyer in our industry, pick a few podcasts in our industry and switch from time to time because you're going to be like, oh my God, I keep hearing people talking about this AI. And then switch to a different one. And maybe it's so right now, not a lot of listening to besides my music. My favorite band, Blue October, and Beatnik Bandits.
Are you serious?
My
Your favorite band is Blue October?
Friends with the band. Friends with the band have the platinum album from them. My 50th birthday, my wife threw a surprise party for me in upstate New York, in Somers, New York, at a little bar restaurant in our town. We go in, I had about 40 of my best friends there. Surprise, blah, blah, blah. 10 minutes later, Justin walks in. My business partner flew up, Justin, and he played an acoustic set for me.
Okay, so I'm astonished here. So I lived in the Woodlands, Texas, which is where they came from, and I discovered them when I was living in Virginia Beach, and they've been one of my favorite bands ever since. But like no one else. Usually, like when I reference Blue October,
I've seen them live 30 times. Again, Justin played my 50th birthday for me. Good friends. I've been out drinking with them. Awesome musicians of Blue October, and I called Justin because the last tour they did, they had an opening band. And I said, you shouldn't tour with them anymore because they're phenomenal. It's called Beatnik Bandits out of Austin. So listen to Beatnik Bandits. Normally a lot of times I'll call Justin or Paul Nugent, their manager, and say, hey, what time's, I know it's 7. What time's the band hitting the stage? Like band will get on to like 8:30 and I won't show up till about 7:45. I happen to get there early and I listen to the entire Beatnik Bandits. They're not they're like my second favorite band. But yeah, Blue October, I'll show you all my stuff. A platinum album I have from the Hate Me days.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's what a small world. Lucky Number's the same. Blue October, same. See, this, by the way, people listening, this is what happens when you network. We could have not talked about law, just talked about life, and this would have happened. But so this is what network's all about. We have favorite band in common, favorite lucky number, and probably 10 other things.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, this has been a treat, Paul, and
so cool.
I already know. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about the movie stuff as well on another episode. So thank you so much for being on here, bringing the energy and the mindset. I super appreciate it.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks so much for having me. I look forward to coming back.
All right, and I'll see you all in the next episode of They Don't Teach This in Law School.